Best-selling author Ed Klein, the book Blood Feud. Ed's been with us a couple of times before. Tell you what, a dangerous spot would be to get between one of Ed's books and somebody who wants one at a bookstore because they are flying off shelves. Ed, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, too. Thanks so much.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing just great, thank you. I see that Hillary Clinton is trashing the president, saying don't do stupid stuff is not a strategy for a president of the United States.
I love when they say it. They call it distancing.
Distancing. Well, that's a polite way of putting it, yes.
And Ed, it's interesting because she was basically a full-throated defense of this policy, of the president's policies, while on a book tour just weeks ago, right?
That's right. And she obviously was also Secretary of State for 4 years, and she was there during the entire 4 years of the Obama administration's foreign policy, and now suddenly she's an outside critic. And it's a kind of a nice kabuki dance that she's performing here.
You've got more scoops, of course, with Elizabeth Warren and Valerie Jarrett. I'll get to that in a second, but as long as we're talking about foreign policy and Hillary Clinton and the president, what do you think is going on inside the White House as we get to tail end of last week and becomes apparent the president's going to have to act to order these airstrikes at Iraq when he spent so much of his campaign vowing to get us out and to end the war, and all of a sudden he's got to stand in front of the American people and say, well, fighter jets are over the country and we're striking once again.
I try to make a distinction between my reporting and my opinions. And I have not done reporting on your question, so I'm going to give you my opinion,
okay,
which may or may not be right. I stand by my reporting, but the opinions, who knows? My opinion is that there was a huge debate inside the White House over this strategy of using American military force, with Valerie Jarrett and Michelle Obama lining up against the president using airstrikes, and the generals, meaning the Pentagon, warning the president that if he didn't do something, that a disaster of immense proportions would ensue, and that he would be held responsible for it. And I think his hand was forced against his own judgment. That's my opinion.
Yeah, because it's got to be kind of a bitter pill to swallow when you're talking about, well, now I have to take action against people I call the JV team.
Yeah, the JV team, exactly. The ISIS, the people who have taken over, half of Syria and half of Iraq, and we're about to take over Kurdistan. I mean, the guy has been doing nothing, as even Hillary Clinton just said in her interview, to prevent this from happening. Now he's suddenly, using airstrikes. The fourth president in a row to get involved militarily in Iraq.
Ed Klein with us, the book Blood Feud, the Clintons versus the Obamas, and it's, of course, available now, one of the best-selling books in the country. Ed, more scoops from you as we continue looking toward 2016. Last week you talked about the Kennedys pushing Elizabeth Warren to run, and if I just saw, I believe is correct, you also are reporting saying that Valerie Jarrett, who is so close to the Obamas, is meeting with Elizabeth Warren as well.
Yeah, there's a real push on the left wing of the party, and this, again, is based on my reporting, not my opinions, meaning the Kennedy clan. A lot of the Kennedys are very left wing, and obviously Valerie Jarrett in the White House, who's so important as an advisor to the president. And they want to do practically anything they can do to prevent Hillary Clinton from becoming the nominee and then maybe even the President of the United States, because the Obamas feel that Hillary will undo a lot of his policies. She's a lot more hawkish on foreign policy. She's would, I think, revise drastically Obamacare. I think she would do something on the border with Mexico that he's failed to do. There's a lot of stuff. She might even okay the XL Keystone pipeline from Canada. All this stuff that Obama's been against. So they're looking for an alternative, and the Kennedys have invited Elizabeth Warren, that left-wing senator from Massachusetts, to their compound in Hyannisport. And as you just pointed out, Valerie Jarrett has been secretly meeting with Elizabeth Warren, promising her financial and organizational support if she challenges Hillary.
Ed, got to ask you a bit about Valerie Jarrett. What happens to Valerie Jarrett at the end of this term?
Well, that's a very good question. You know, there is some speculation that she may even run for office, but I don't think so. She is so tied at the hip with Michelle Obama that I think those two are going to go off into the sunset together, meaning I think she's going to continue to hitch her star to Michelle. I think Michelle will write a book. I think she'll make speeches. I think these two women have been talking about traveling together in Spain and France, where they love the countryside. I think they're going to, I'm not suggesting anything sexual here, by the way. I want to get that clear. This is a friendship based on dependency, mutual dependency. Mm-hmm. And I think that they will live a separate life from Barack Obama, who I think is going to go his own way. And I think you're going to see these Michelle and Barack living very separate lives, with Valerie tagging along with Michelle.
Ed Klein with us. Blood Feud is the book. Riley and Scott here on WROK. You have told us time and again, and it seems, I don't want to say more obvious, but it all makes sense how important Valerie Jarrett is to the White House, how important Valerie Jarrett is to both of the Obamas. In your reporting and those that you've talked to, is there anybody, senior advisors or chiefs of staff, or is there anybody that comes close to the amount of access, to the amount of influence that Valerie Jarrett has on this White House?
Not even close. She, you know, as I report in the book Blood Feud, she has moved, quite some time ago, she moved into the residence of the White House. She lives in the White House. She has her own suite of rooms there. She has dinner every night with the President, First Lady, and their daughters. She goes on, right now she's on vacation with them in Martha's Vineyard. When he's in the White House, she's the last person to leave the Oval Office and whisper in his ear. She has influence over this President like no advisor, in my view, since Harry Hopkins in the Roosevelt administration 70-plus years ago. Harry Hopkins was friends with both Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt. Well, Valerie Jarrett has not only the ear of the President and the First Lady, but the heart. She has their soul. They do not make a move without first consulting her.
That'd be a great position to find yourself in, wouldn't it? Boy, you talk about long-term employment. Hey, Ed, got to ask you, we were treated over the weekend. I happened as I was thumbing through worldwide papers and all that. I think it was the Mail that ran the photo splash of the Clintons doing a little beach walking. You know, Bill's got his shorts on, Hillary's got the blue moo-moo, they're walking the dog. They're just average folk. Gosh, I didn't realize reporters would be here with cameras.
Oh, of course not. Remember when they were dancing after Monica?
Yeah, that seemed realistic, too.
Yeah, with her and her bathing suit and all that. Well, you know, they're renting a $100,000 mansion in East Hampton, Amagansett, sorry, on the east end of Long Island. And they're hobnobbing with donors who are giving them up to $50,000 a couple just to schmooze with them and have a little cocktail with them. So when the Clintons vacation, it's not like you and I vacation and kick back. They're always working. They're always working the crowds. They're always getting more donations, making sure that Hillary's campaigning for the nomination. I mean, it's nonstop with the Clintons, and that's what they're this walking in the beach is a lot of hooey.
Ed Klein with us from the book Blood Feud. And then this question might go back a bit to your previous book, To the Amateur, which was so great. The President and the vacations and the golfing. Even on, what was it, Friday, right, when he made the announcement about the action in Iraq, Marine One's right there waiting to take him away on his vacation, Martha's Vineyard. Yes. Is he aware of how that's perceived? I know there's this cocoon that's kind of around him, thanks to Valerie Jarrett and others. But is he aware of how that's perceived? Does he care about the people keeping track of how many rounds of golf he's taken or how many vacations he's taken? Is that a concern at all for him?
I don't think I don't think Valerie Jarrett allows this kind of criticism to get close to the president. I don't think he is aware of it. Another president, a different president, when he orders our military into action, would be showing us photographs of him in the Situation Room in the basement of the White House, not on the golf links in Martha's Vineyard. But this guy has, a very different conception of what the presidency is about. And it's almost a kind of a casual, I'll do that with my left hand and play golf with my right hand, or vice versa. And if this were John F. Kennedy or Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, or even Jimmy Carter, for that matter, we would be seeing him stay in the White House. And because air power may sound like it's antiseptic and we don't have boots on the ground, but it's still putting our men at risk, our men and women at risk. And this is serious business, and he has no business being on the golf links in Martha's Vineyard at this time.
See, and that's what's amazing to me, Ed, is that, this buffer zone and this cocoon that gets set up around him, that it's amazing how impervious it must be to even people who would, I guess, for lack of a better term, outrank Valerie Jarrett, who might want to give the president a hand by saying, hey, look, man, the people are buzzing about the fact that you're on the golf course too much, but nothing gets through that wall.
No, she doesn't let people get close to him to criticize him or to give conflicting opinions. I was speaking to Vernon Jordan, who is a very well-known, wise man in Democratic politics and advised many presidents over the years. Very famous African-American figure. And he's actually related by marriage to Valerie Jarrett. And he was saying that Valerie Jarrett has control over who gets on Air Force One, who gets into the Oval Office, who gets to see the president, who travels with the president, whose opinions the president hears. I mean, she's really the gatekeeper par excellence. And I don't think the people you're talking about, who might be whispering to the president, hey, Mr. President, the golf thing, cool it for a little while. I don't think those people get close to him, ever, because of Valerie.
Edward Klein with us, just another minute or two. Blood Feud is the book, The Clintons versus the Obamas. It's Riley and Scott here on WROK. A big part of Blood Feud is this deal that you set up between the president, the former president. I'll back you, and you back Hillary 2016. That's kind of fallen apart here.
That's fallen apart.
Absolutely.
Fallen apart.
Now,
and as a result, the Blood Feud is even worse than it was before.
Now, we saw this past weekend the president campaigned hard for these candidates out in Hawaii. Current governor, he lost. It's his home state out in Hawaii. He can't even get the governor to be nominated again for governor. Putting aside the presidential stuff, which I know is hard to do, but coming toward 2016 and perhaps even in the future, is there going to be this big rivalry between Bill Clinton and President Obama in terms of endorsements? And, well, if I endorse you, you can't have him speak for you because he'll mess stuff up. It seems like this blood feud could go on years down the line.
It might. It certainly will go on up to and through 2016. What happens often, though, with presidents is once they leave the White House, not always, but often, they drop some of their old animosities because now they're kind of in a...
You're a special club.
Yeah, a special club, exactly, that's right, yeah. And somebody wrote a book, I think, called that, Special Club, about the President's Club, I think it was called. And I think, I think that Obama is going to try to imitate Bill Clinton's post-presidency by setting up a foundation and but he doesn't have Bill Clinton's touch. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have that outreach kind of, warm, fuzzy, hail fellow, well met type of thing. Bill Clinton has been the most active post-president that we've ever seen. Obama's an introvert. I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. So whether or not he and Clinton are going to really go nose to nose after 2016, it's hard to say.
Well, yeah. Can you picture President Obama, forging a friendship like Bill Clinton has with George Bush?
No. Before you even finished the sentence, I knew the answer was no. Because I can't see him forging a friendship with anybody other than the very small inner circle that he relies on. People he has been friendly with from Chicago. I mean, there are about half a dozen people, and that's it. He doesn't have friends in Congress, not even among Democrats. Harry Reid, God save us.
Oh yeah, there's a guy you want. There's a guy you want coming by the house.
Yeah, exactly. Even Harry Reid and the Democratic leadership in the Senate don't like him because there's no relationship there.
Book meticulously researched, flying off shelves. You're going to want to get yourself a copy of it. And while you're at it, buy his other books, too. There's always something great in an Ed Klein book. Blood Feud is the name of this one. Ed, as always, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
Great to be with you guys.